Hey you all, Farmer Jesse here. Got a great video for you all this week from Spring Forth Farm in North Carolina. Josh Satin went and visited them recently and he shot this tour video that you should totally watch. But also, they're doing some really interesting things with cover crops, so we thought we'd share that with you all. We hope you like it. We hope you will like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to it if you like the video also. And just know this video was paid for in part by a grant from Southern SARE. We're exploring the 4 basic principles of soil health and many different ways to achieve that. So anyway, let's do it.
One of the things that we find to be a big struggle with no-till growing is establishing cover crops. Especially for us in a tunnel situation, we don't have any overhead irrigation. We have drip tape, and we've tried growing traditional cover crops with drip tape before, and it was just a disaster. Like the roots of these high density plantings, especially grasses, just eat the drip tape and it's impossible to get it out of the bed. As a result, because we only grow in the sell flowers in the spring, we had this period in the summer that went into the fall where there were no roots in the ground, and we just had the tunnels under tarps because we didn't know what else to do. So we were looking for a way to get roots in the ground that was manageable with the resources we already had and time with our 2 young kids. So we were just trying to think about some plants that we can put in. They had to be able to go in June, and then our goal is for them to go the whole summer and for them to come out. So we're going to go through here. We transplanted all of these flowers, 1 row down the center of a 30-inch bed, 2 feet apart, because that's what we felt like we could manage with a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. That's real talk is trying to do it all with kids. If this works well and it feels manageable, we could easily go back and add extra holes to this fabric to do a higher density or more variety of planting. But our plan now is to go through and cut these plants off at ground level and then transplant into the bed.
I love this idea of sort of alternative cover crops, in that, you know, most people have certain ideas about cover crops, but you guys are growing flowers, you guys are growing tomatoes, and some of this stuff is going to your local community as well, right?
Yeah, we have a big vegetable garden and we give a lot of the food away. We're growing it in conjunction with another family. I do think the idea of alternative cover crops is a good one to think about your goals and your resources. And I would encourage anyone to go look at the USDA cover crop periodic table, just to think about some different things that could serve different functions in their cover crops. Like if what you really need is to smother, you know, maybe sweet potatoes would be a good option for that. And then you could, I don't know,
sweet potatoes
you
too.
could eat the sweet potatoes. I was going to say till them in, but if you're no-till, that's not going to work. What we care about for our cover crops is that they live long enough. So we've had some issues with borage. We're already eliminating that for next year because it didn't live long enough. And this is our first year doing it, so it's still an experiment. They live long enough, and when we cut them off, we're able to still plant the bed. The roots aren't so extreme that it interferes with our planting. And we think it's an extra bonus if they have wildlife value. So we planted a lot of different kinds of basil because it lives a long time and it's super beneficial for bees and other pollinators.
All right, let's go take a look at some of this stuff.
All right.
All right, Jonathan, what are some of the things you got going on around you right now?
So here we've got marigolds and sunflowers, both native to North America and both very beneficial for the wildlife. The basil, like I said, one of the things we're looking for is things that are multi-purpose. So we planted a lot of holy basil, Tulsi basil, super refreshing drink on a hot day for a farmer to make some Tulsi tea. And we have some zinnias up there, ageratum. Those are the main cover crops that we're thinking about. Another criteria was it would not reseed and become a weed problem. So amaranth and celosia we eliminated off the bat. And we'd be really interested if anyone had other ideas. Doesn't have to be a flower. I've wondered if like chard might work, just to have a bigger variety of types of roots in the ground. But, you know, our main goal was not to add nitrogen or build biomass. It was just to have the photosynthesis going on.
And work within your current system.
And work within our current system to where we wouldn't have to invest in sprinklers for all of our tunnels or any sort of other thing that we didn't already have, and work with us having the kids.
I see so many cool things. I see obviously crops I would never think of for cover crops, but I'll see so much diversity, especially the bed over on your left there. But part of it was working it into your system. So can you explain a little bit about your system in terms of bed management?
Yeah, absolutely. We grow most of our crops in black landscape fabric, and we use drip irrigation. So we needed something that would work with the drip, and then the landscape fabric helps keep down weeds. I also think with drip, it actually helps the water spread out across the surface and water the bed more evenly as well. But the main thing was working with our irrigation system and helping with weed suppression, which the plastic does. When we're ready to plant these beds, we're gonna just cut the plants off at ground level, leave the roots in the ground, and just transplant into the bed that way.
Okay, so there's really no termination time with this system.
No, this is our first year, so we'll see how that works. But that's our intention, is just that we can cut the plants off and replant immediately.
Okay, I mean, that's the thing, and you do a lot of transplants at your farm, so it's easy enough to come in there after that. You're not having to like crimp or tarp or something like that to kill the cover crop. You're just gonna terminate it by cutting it off at the base.
Yeah, that's what we're planning to do. As far as the variety in the bed, I mean, I think that's something we're still working on. Some of these beds are all one type of flower. This bed over here is a nice variety, and it's just us figuring out how to transplant from a bunch of different trays and get them in so they all fit together.
Very cool, Jonathan. Thanks for sharing. I think there's a lot more experimentation, but I think it's very cool, and it seems to be working for you guys.
Thank you.